My name is Emily Carter, and for most of my adult life, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted in love. I had a checklist in my mind: tall, ambitious, wealthy, smooth-talking, and the kind of man who would make everyone's heads turn when he walked into a room. I thought that was the definition of a dream man. But sometimes life has a way of showing you that dreams are not built from fantasy. They're carved out of reality. This story begins in Denver, Colorado, where I was working as a marketing consultant at a mid-sized firm. My days were filled with client meetings, strategy presentations, and endless cups of coffee. It was there that I met Daniel Brooks, a quiet but dependable man who worked in the IT department. He wasn't the kind of person who commanded attention. He wasn't loud, flashy, or intimidating. He was steady, kind, and always willing to help anyone who needed him. At first, I didn't even notice Daniel beyond the usual work interactions. He would fix my laptop when it froze or help me retrieve files I had accidentally deleted. Every time, he had the same gentle smile and soft voice. I appreciated his help, but I never once considered him as someone who could play a role in my personal life. To me, Daniel was ordinary. Meanwhile, I was dating men who seemed to fit the image of my dream man. There was Brandon, the charismatic lawyer with the designer suits. Then there was Chase, the entrepreneur with big ideas and a bigger ego. And let's not forget Tyler, the personal trainer who spent more time flexing in the mirror than actually listening to me. They were exciting, sure, but none of them made me feel safe or truly cared for. Every relationship ended the same way, with me feeling more drained than fulfilled. One evening, after yet another disappointing breakup, I found myself stuck late at the office. My eyes burned from staring at the screen, and my frustration was boiling over. Daniel walked past my desk, noticed my stress, and asked gently, "Do you want me to order some food for us? You look like you've had a long day." I hesitated, but eventually agreed. He ordered Chinese takeout, and we ate together in the break room. For the first time, I saw a different side of Daniel. He had a dry sense of humor that caught me off guard. He told me about his childhood in a small town, his love for hiking in the Rockies, and his habit of rescuing stray animals whenever he could. He wasn't trying to impress me. He was just being himself. And strangely, I found myself enjoying his company more than I expected. Over the next few weeks, our late-night work sessions became routine. We'd sit side by side, finishing projects, sharing snacks, and laughing about random things. I started to feel a warmth around him, a kind of comfort I had never felt with anyone else. But deep down, I kept reminding myself that Daniel wasn't my dream man. One Friday evening, after a particularly long week, Daniel asked if I wanted to join him for a hike the next morning. I almost said no, thinking I had better things to do. But something inside me said yes. The next day, I found myself on a trail in Boulder, surrounded by breathtaking views and crisp mountain air. Daniel walked beside me, pointing out wildflowers, telling stories about past hikes, and making sure I had enough water. When we reached the summit, I remember sitting there, looking out at the world below, and feeling a strange sense of peace. Daniel wasn't trying to sweep me off my feet. He was just sharing a part of himself with me. And for a brief moment, I wondered if I had been chasing the wrong kind of dream all along. But then reality caught up with me. A few days later, I was at a party with friends, and someone teased me about spending so much time with Daniel. They joked, "He's sweet, but he's not exactly the kind of guy you brag about, right?" I laughed along, even though deep inside, their words stung me. Later that night, when Daniel asked me directly if I saw us as more than friends, I panicked. I thought about all the judgments, my own expectations, and the image of the perfect man I had carried for so long. And without thinking, I blurted out the cruelest words I have ever spoken. "Daniel, you're amazing, but you're not my dream man. I just don't see you that way." The hurt in his eyes was immediate, though he tried to mask it with a smile. He nodded slowly and said, "I understand, Emily. Thanks for being honest." Then he walked away. At first, I convinced myself I had done the right thing. I told myself it was better to be upfront than to lead him on. But as the days turned into weeks, I realized the emptiness I felt without him in my life. The late-night talks, the quiet laughter, the feeling of being truly understood. I missed it all. None of the so-called dream men I met after could fill that void. One afternoon, I saw Daniel in the office cafeteria. He was sitting with another woman, a new hire named Sarah. They were laughing together, and for the first time, I felt a pang of jealousy I couldn't ignore. That's when the truth hit me. I didn't want a dream man from a fantasy. I wanted Daniel, the real man who had been there all along. But it was too late. Daniel had pulled away, guarding his heart from me. I tried reaching out, inviting him for coffee, but he politely declined. I sent him long messages apologizing for what I had said, but his responses were short and formal. The warmth we once shared was gone. Months passed, and I watched from a distance as Daniel grew closer to Sarah. They eventually started dating, and though I smiled and congratulated him, my heart was breaking. I had thrown away something precious because of my own shallow expectations. Now, years later, I look back on that time with deep regret. I told Daniel he would never be my dream man, but the truth is, he was everything I needed. He was patient, kind, steady, and real. And sometimes, the greatest love stories are not about the people who dazzle you at first glance, but about the ones who quietly stand by your side, offering you the kind of love that lasts. I lost Daniel because of my own foolishness. And while I've moved on with life, a part of me will always wonder what could have been if I had seen him for who he truly was. Not the dream man I imagined, but the real man who could have been my everything. So if you're listening to my story, let it be a reminder. Don't let shallow expectations blind you to the people who genuinely care for you. Sometimes the greatest love is standing right in front of you, waiting for you to notice, before it's too late.